Before the first cities appeared in Mesopotamia, before writing turned memory into records, people were already telling stories about worlds that no longer existed. They spoke of lands swallowed by water, of kings who ruled for centuries, of gods who once walked side by side with mortals. These were not just tales for entertainment. They were attempts to explain why so much had been forgotten. Archaeology supports the idea that civilization didn't begin suddenly with Sumer. In modern Turkey, at Göbekli Tepe, enormous carved pillars were raised more than 11,000 years ago, long before the invention of writing or the wheel. In Çatalhöyük, people built sprawling communities with shared walls and painted shrines 9,000 years ago. Jericho, one of the oldest known cities, already had stone towers and fortifications while the rest of the world still lived in scattered villages. None of these cultures left written words, but they left monuments that force us to ask, if these people could organize, build, and carve with such sophistication, what else have we lost from human memory? Were there entire civilizations that left no record except whispers and myth? Every ruined pillar and crumbling wall tells us that history has deeper roots than the textbooks suggest. One of the most universal memories across humanity is the story of a flood. In Mesopotamia, the tale is told of Atrahasis or Zeusidra, warned by the god Enki that waters would destroy humankind. He builds a vessel, loads it with animals, and survives while all else is swept away. In the Greek tradition, Zeus punishes a corrupt humanity with a deluge, leaving only Deucalion and Pyrrha alive. By casting stones over their shoulders, they repopulate the earth. In India, Manu is guided by a divine fish, an avatar of Vishnu, who pulls his ark safely across stormy seas. Even far away, among the Aztecs and Maya, floods appear as one of several cycles of destruction that ended entire ages of the world. Sometimes the apocalypse came by jaguar, sometimes by fire, sometimes by wind, and sometimes by water. The pattern repeats. Death of the old order, survival of a chosen few, renewal of humanity. To modern science, these may be cultural memories of real disasters. At the end of the last ice age, seas rose by over 100 meters, drowning coastlines and villages. Rivers like the Tigris, Nile, and Indus often flooded with devastating force, wiping away entire settlements. When your world is a small valley or a coastal plain, such an event feels like the end of everything. That sense of cosmic destruction could easily become myth, retold and reshaped across centuries. Flood myths are more than warnings. They are survival manuals. They show us what our ancestors valued most: wisdom, resilience, faith in guidance. They preserved the lesson that while the world can be destroyed, humanity can endure. Even when cultures vanish, their symbols survive. Across continents, serpents appear as guardians of wisdom, symbols of danger, or emblems of rebirth. The Sumerian Ningish Zida was a serpent deity. The Greeks told of Python at Delphi. The Mayans and Aztecs worshipped Quetzalcoatl, the feathered serpent. The meaning shifts, but the image remains, a creature that sheds its skin, renewing itself, a perfect symbol for civilizations that rise, fall, and return in memory. The bull carries equal weight. From the Apis bull in Egypt to the bull-leaping frescoes of Crete, from the sacred Mount of Shiva in India to prehistoric cave art in France and Spain, the bull embodied strength, fertility, and cosmic power. It is no accident that kings compared themselves to bulls, an animal that could sustain life or bring destruction. Birds, too, soar as symbols. The eagle stands beside Shamash in Mesopotamia, Zeus in Greece, and Rome as an emblem of empire. In India, Garuda carries Vishnu across the heavens. In Native American traditions, the thunderbird wields control over storms. Birds connected the earthly with the divine, moving effortlessly between land and sky. Numbers themselves became sacred. 3 often marked completeness: heaven, earth, underworld. 7 gates of the Sumerian underworld. 12 Olympian gods, 12 months, 12 zodiac signs. Numbers were not mere counting tools. They were part of the architecture of myth, carrying symbolic meaning that bound stories to the structure of the cosmos. Objects held power too. Mesopotamian myths tell of the tablets of destiny, granting ultimate authority. The Greeks imagined the golden fleece. The Hindus described Amrita, nectar of immortality. The Norse spoke of the mead of poetry. Different objects, same archetype. Divine tokens connecting mortals with eternity. Symbols are humanity's fingerprints. Even when civilizations are erased, their signs remain etched in our imagination. They remind us that the past is never fully gone. It survives in the shapes we continue to see and the stories we continue to tell. Though thousands of years have passed, the voices of forgotten civilizations still echo in our lives. Consider the week. 7 days, based on the 7 visible celestial bodies charted by Babylonian astronomers. We take it for granted, yet every time we check a calendar, we are repeating a rhythm set by ancient skywatchers. Festivals and rituals carry these echoes too. The Mesopotamians held New Year celebrations tied to spring floods, the moment life returned to the fields. In India, Diwali celebrates light over darkness, echoing Vedic themes. European festivals like Christmas and Easter inherited cycles from pre-Christian solstice and fertility rituals. Beneath modern religion lies the pulse of forgotten agrarian calendars. Astrology, still popular in daily horoscopes, comes directly from Babylonian attempts to read the heavens. The zodiac is not a modern invention but an ancient chart of stars. Even if science rejects astrology, the cultural habit of linking destiny to constellations endures. Our architecture repeats ancient gestures. Ziggurats once rose as stairways to heaven. Today, skyscrapers pierce the sky with steel and glass. Both serve as monuments of human ambition, attempts to touch the divine. Even popular culture retells the old stories. Epic films replay the flood or the hero's journey. Superheroes echo demigods, beings of both human and divine nature. Fantasy novels borrow directly from ancient archetypes. Gods of thunder, sacred trees, underworld journeys. Even in video games, players reconstruct lost civilizations, battle mythic monsters, or explore ruins of forgotten ages. And of course, Atlantis. Though Plato may have meant it as allegory, the idea resonates because it feels familiar. The sense that great civilizations once existed, then fell beneath the waves. Whether fact or fiction, the myth reflects our intuition that history hides more than it reveals. Science and myth look at the same past from different angles. Archaeology uncovers the material. Stone circles, buried cities, pottery fragments, bones. Sites like Göbekli Tepe overturned assumptions, proving that complex ritual and monumentality existed long before farming. Underwater archaeology finds ruins off India, Japan, and the Mediterranean. Not proof of Atlantis, but reminders that seas swallowed coastlines and villages after the Ice Age. Anthropology treats myth as cultural memory. Flood stories become symbolic accounts of real disasters. Myths of golden ages reflect nostalgia. Legends of giants may recall encounters with strangers or the awe of natural forces. Psychology, especially Jungian theory, sees recurring archetypes, the wise old figure, the flood, the hero, as patterns of the human unconscious, repeating across geography and time. But myths can preserve history too. Indigenous traditions in Australia describe coastlines lost to rising seas, and geological studies confirm these stories are thousands of years old. Oral memory can last far longer than we once believed. So where does that leave us? Myths are not literal history, but they are not meaningless either. They are vessels. They carry symbolic truth, cultural memory, fragments of real events. And science, while cautious, admits that the past is far deeper and stranger than we yet know. The lesson is twofold. Civilizations are fragile, but humanity is resilient. Empires rise and fall. Floods erase worlds. Yet every myth tells us that something survives. A remnant, a seed, a spark. And that spark is carried forward, from Sumer's clay tablets back into the shadows of forgotten ages. Sumer may be the first civilization we can read. But it was not the first civilization to exist. Behind its history lies a greater human epic. One still hidden, waiting for us to uncover, to imagine, and to keep alive in story.